And we are live. Welcome to another week of the Mufasa's Daily Book Reading at Noon. My name is Mpho and I am your reader for today. We are still reading Executive Coaching with Backbone and Heart, right? Written by Mary Beth O'Neill. So if you want to catch up on last week's readings, please do click on the link that will take you to our YouTube channel, and you'll be able to find a playlist of our previous book and this book as well. We're going to be reading 10 minutes of chapter 3 today, and it's titled Systems Thinking, Understanding the Executive's Challenges and the Coach's Challenges. Let me set my timer for 10 minutes. I hope you had an absolutely amazing weekend. You kept warm, ate some good food, thought about the content that we've been releasing, liked it, subscribed to the YouTube channel, as well as shared it to all of your organizations. Because you are a conscious leader, and you're consciously deciding to send this wonderful wonderful content to everyone, because you know it's making a difference, right? So my timer is set for 10 minutes. Let me start reading today's chapter. Systems Thinking, Understanding the Executive's Challenges and the Coach's Challenges. This chapter further explores the effects of stressful situations on the leaders and the ways those situations elicit reactive responses in them. It instructs to the coaches in the art of detecting and understanding the impacts of the forces operating in the client's system. As you read, see whether you can detect the system's patterns that work on and through your clients. So as you listen, see whether you can detect the system's patterns that work on and through your clients. Also, assess your ability to identify what effects clients have on you and in what ways these forces alter how you work with your clients. Attending closely to the key system concepts represented here will give you a new way to see the forces that create an impact on you, your clients, and their organizations. Seeing the new eyes gives you greater choices when you face, seeing with new eyes gives you greater choices when you face the challenges brought to you by your clients. So we're going to be seeing with new eyes. Tom and Ben's executive coach. Tom is a senior vice president of finance at a company where he has worked for 15 years. The company, part of an industry that has remained pretty staid over the past 40 years, has made money without a lot of effort. Now, the industry is rapidly changing and requires aggressive entrepreneurship, but this company is unprepared for the adjustment. A new chief executive officer, Susan, has been hired from the outside and has the vision and the energy that the board knows it needs to move forward. Welcome, Susan. Very nice. Susan tells Tom that the lackadaisical way in which he has run finance is no longer acceptable. The monthly accounting report dates have to be moved up by a week, and the department must reduce operating costs by 30%. She expects Tom to generate the plan to get there. Tom is anxious about the demands in these mandates because he has never pushed his people before. In fact, he avoids conflict at all costs. Tom seeks help from Ben, an internal organizational development specialist for the company. Who does Tom remind you of? If you have been catching up with our book, the last book that we read, right, you might see that Tom avoiding conflict at all costs reminds us of the previous CEO that we read about in the energy leadership book. So everything is tying in together. Tom, rather unexpectedly, has found himself in hot water and off balance. Everything is changing around him: the business environment, his boss, and his boss's expectations. How can Ben coach Tom effectively? If you were Ben, what would you do? How does Ben approach an anxious executive who feels he's under siege? What framework can Ben bring to his coaching relationship so that he can stay on course himself? Ben can benefit from using a systems perspective. The second principle from chapter 1. Using this perspective keeps executive coaches focused on the fundamental forces promoting or impeding their work with clients. Specifically, I adapt the systems perspective from the family system field and apply it to organizations. I find it to be one of the most powerful lenses to use in assessing business issues. Although I neither use the specific techniques of what that field nor attempt to make therapeutic interventions, I apply this way of thinking to the organization because it is relevant. It is so relevant to how executives and their work groups interact together. A systems perspective resists identifying a single element or person in a system as the root cause of a problem. A system can guide the actions of individuals and tends to have greater staying power than the personalities of the individuals or the mission and the goals of the organization. Following a handful of concepts from this world of systems. These concepts and those in chapter 4 drive the methodology and chapter 5 through 8. So definitely stay tuned for chapter 5 till 8. A systems perspective resists identifying a single element or a person in a system as the root cause of a problem. The interactional force field. When any 2 or 10 or 100 people interact with one another over time, they create a social interactional field. It operates through the relationships of those involved, but it develops a character, shape, and set of rules transcending any of the individuals who contributed energy to its creation. Back to energy leadership with the energy. A spider web is a good metaphor to describe an interactional force field. When anything comes in contact with the spider web, anywhere on its surface, the whole web moves. If anything shakes or disrupts the attachment points of the web moves. Yet a spider has amazingly tensile strength and can withstand strain on its strands many times greater than its weight. The spider's web's resiliency, the ability to be strong yet flexible, allows it to maintain its integrity through wind, rain, flying insects, and any other disruptions. Spider webs are often invisible to the observer, yet they go functioning in the interplay of movement and stability. A web, however, also has a breaking point and can be disturbed or torn to such an extent that it is destroyed, losing its integrity, strength, and beauty. So, it is with an interactional field established between 2 or more people. It has its own anchor points, resiliency, and breaking points, and it is most often invincible to the members within it. When anyone within the field moves, all members feel the effect, though differently based on their opinions. Other metaphors for the interactional field are the gravitational and magnetic fields. Why we are immersed within their invisible forces and we feel their influence, though most often that influence is unconsciously experienced. Say 3 people are meeting with their boss. Person A reports on his week's activities, while person B gazes out the window. Person C writes notes in the binder. Person D, the boss, asks questions of person A. Before I continue, choose one of the people in this scenario whose actions you are most likely to duplicate in a similar circumstance. In the setting of a routine business meeting, do you identify with A, B, C, or D? Is this because you are by nature conscientious A, bored at meetings B, able to do multiple tasks C, or show interest in the topic at hand D? Now imagine that the boss's boss, person E, walks into the room unannounced. How are the players likely to react? How is your character likely to react? Do they continue doing exactly what they were doing before? Usually the answer is no. Every person in the room gets organized in a new way because of the introduction of another variable, person E, the boss's boss. So no one stopped the meeting or changed the agenda. No one's personality was suddenly altered, yet all kinds of things have perceptibly shifted. Let's say that note-taking person C is a new employee who started just that day. She has never met person E and does not know the boss's boss. But she experiences the invincible interactional force field by witnessing the changes in behavior of the other 3 people. Like the needle of a compass pointing north, the new employee is starting to shift toward the direction of the others, feeling the magnetic pull. And I think let's conclude there. That this is a very nice scenario. So I'll read through it and let you know how this plans out. I hope that you've selected your character A, B, C, or D, right? But I think it was just a way of showing an example of the interactional force field and how various factors, were being pulled into a situation between 2 people, hundreds of people, or whatever it may be, and kind of affects everyone else, like in a spider web. So I hope you enjoyed today's reading, and you will think about the things, the actions that you're taking, or the things that you're doing that actually impact other people as well within your organization. And I'm hoping that this will be a powerful impact. Thank you, because you came here today, so I'm affecting your organization in some way as well. So I'm part of your spider web. Thank you for being part of my spider web too. Enjoy the rest of your day. I will see you on Wednesday, which is a public holiday, so I will see you on Thursday. Enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye.